Hello and welcome to New Central Television. I am Lekan, Onabanjo. The top stories at this hour. 12 Nigerian states plan power projects amidst tariff hike controversy. Plateau Speaker swears in 9 out of 16 APC lawmakers. Somalia regions reject order to shut Ethiopia missions. Details to come your way shortly. We begin in West Africa, where Lagos, Kano, and 10 other states in Nigeria are preparing to generate their own electricity in compliance with the Electricity Act 2023. Despite the tariff hike, many states are using the new Electricity Act to establish their own power generation companies. They have created their own electricity market laws and are awaiting approval from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Meanwhile, the federal government's decision to increase power tariffs by 240% for Band A consumers has sparked criticism. The subsidy for these consumers, who represent about 15% of all power users, has been entirely removed. The new tariff is 225 naira per kilowatt hour, a substantial increase from the previous 68 naira per kilowatt. In the meantime, the Nigerian Senate has assured citizens of the country that they will not be left to fend for themselves amidst the uproar caused by the over 300% hike in electricity tariff for customers classified as Band A. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, gave the reassurance while speaking to journalists, where he emphasized that upon resumption from recess, the Senate would thoroughly assess the situation and take decisive action in the best interest of the nation and its citizens. Senator Daramodu stressed that the Senate, being a responsible and responsive institution, would not stand idly by in the face of policies that directly impact the economy, security, and welfare of Nigerians. This assurance comes in the wake of the federal government's approval of a staggering 240% increase in electricity tariff for Band A customers, a decision that has drawn widespread criticism and concern. And now to discuss this, I'm joined by an electricity market analyst, Lanre Elatui. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you so much and good afternoon.
So first off, does the over 200% increase in electricity tariff hike reflect the true economic realities bedeviling the sector?
We need to be realistic at this point. Everything has gone up. The dollar rate has gone up. The gas rate has gone up. So I believe, like I've said on several fora, that the regulator did what is strategic by making sure that they only increased tariff for those that are deemed able to afford electricity. So if you look at other products in the market, the prices have actually increased. So the bread that we used to buy at 800 naira is now 1,500 naira. So that's the economy is biting on everybody, knowing fully well that electricity is the commodity that has to be paid. So there are investors, there are people that are invested money in this business, and their cost of production has actually skyrocketed. So as long as the government says that they're not going to be responsible for subsidy again, then somebody has to be able to pay for the true cost of electricity. And in this case, the customers have to pay. If you look at the alternative available to the customers, spending money on petrol or diesel, you see that the grid power is still more cheaper for them. So while acknowledging the fact that the economy is really biting very hard, but there is nothing that the regulator can do at this point, because as they need to protect the consumers, they also have duty to protect the investors in the market, so that tomorrow when we wake up, we still have our gencos being able to produce electricity.
But then the gas that powers these stations are locally generated or produced. So why would anything that has to do with the naira appreciating or depreciating affect the cost of payment by consumers, why should it affect an increase in what is payable by a power consumer? We're looking at an increase of 225 naira per kilowatt from 68 naira. Don't you think that is too much? And don't you think the factors associated with this are just, out of way and bogus?
Okay, let me first of all answer your first question. Why the dollar components in our tariff? If you look at our generation portfolio, we have the hydros, about 20%, then we have the thermal plants, about 80%. Even our hydros, the likes of Kanji, Shiroro, and Jeba, these hydros, they pay their concession fee in dollars. You have to remember that. So there's a fee that they pay to government on annual basis, I think about $50 million. So this fee, their concession fee is in dollars. So they're exposed to FX risk because when they collect tariff in Naira. Number two, the loans for the loans that most generating companies and most players in the business that they actually collected to invest their dollar loans, and they have to be paid back in dollars. But they receive that tariff in Naira. So that's why we need dollar component. Apart from that, the O&M, the operation and maintenance of most of these plants are in dollars. So that's why there's dollar component in our tariff. And we know that the government has floated the Naira. So the rate used in the last March 2024 MITO methodology, the rate was Naira 19. But we know that the official rate of dollar today is not Naira 19. And if the people, the investors in the power sector, they're going to seek for the dollar, there's no special window for them to get dollar at official rate. They have to go to the black market to get dollar. So in order for them to cover this foreign exchange risk, so the dollar components have to be used in our tariff methodology. Yeah, I understand the fact that is it justifiable? The cost has increased of generation. The cost of doing business has increased. So what we did do, and government is saying that, okay, we can bear this burden of subsidy. Before, government was responsible for tariff shortfall. But government is saying that we have in March 2024, we have almost 1.7 trillion naira in subsidy, and government only has about 400 billion naira provision for subsidy. So who is going to provide the other money? Because Jengos they will actually generate, and if the market cannot pay them, government cannot pay subsidy. So it's just as if you're asking them to just invest, generate, incur cost without being compensated, and that is not going to work.
But then the government is saying it cannot bear the cost. Now it will be the citizens that will still have to bear the cost in an economy that is already choked. This seems to be more or less a double whammy for the power consumers in Nigeria, because they will pay more for electricity, pay more for domestic gas supply, pay more for services and other goods that they would need to run their day-to-day domestic and corporate activities.
Concern. It's a very valid concern, but if you see what government, if you see what what the regulator has done, the regulator did not increase tariff for all classes of customers. Nigerians have been complaining for so many years that the rich are the one enjoying subsidy. Now, what is happening is cross-subsidization, in the sense that the rich are now subsidizing those that cannot afford cost-reflective tariff. So they did not increase this tariff across the board. They only increase the tariff for a segment of customers that they feel that they're able to afford the cost-reflective tariff. If you to take into consideration the alternative available for these customers, is still quite cheaper for them to be on the grid. So it's quite cheaper for them to pay 225 naira per kilowatt hour than buying diesel every day. Running diesel 20 hours every day will cost them more. So I think that's what was put into consideration before the decision was reached. So the vulnerable Nigerians, the people that could not pay cost-reflective tariff, are still exempted from this increment. And I think that was a very bold move and strategic move.
Okay, so let's look at subnationals and what they're doing. Now, we hear that Lagos, Kano, and 10 other states have concluded plans to start generating power in their respective states. Abia State championed this cause anyway. So do you think that these states have the capacity to raise the capital for the funds and meet their electricity market laws to kickstart the projects?
Let me quickly correct a misrepresentation. States are not going to generate, transmit, and distribute. There's nothing in the Electricity Act that says that. The law says that the states can legislate. Can legislate on generation, transmission, and distribution, not states being directly involved in the business of running a power market. Number one, the states are not viable to do power projects. I can tell you the states don't have the money to provide, they cannot provide fund, they cannot even sign any power purchase agreement for any power project. Yeah, I understand the fact that some states are investing in IPPs, but how the economic rationale behind that, I still question that. I know of a state that the monthly electricity bill was around 50 million naira before. Now they invested in IPP, and what they are actually paying on a monthly basis is in excess of 300 million naira. So it's not economically sensible for states to invest in IPPs that they cannot even serve most of their population. So the Electricity Act says that states can regulate on generation, transmission, and distribution, state electricity market. But in this state, I have a problem with the Electricity Act because there's so many contradictions in the document. The same act that says that states can legislate on state electricity market still says that the national competitive electricity market has to exist. So that's not where I'm going to. Do states have the capacity to run power market? I don't think so. Most of the states still come to Abuja on a monthly basis for survival. These states cannot even provide the most basic need of human being, which is ordinary drinking water. So if you cannot provide ordinary drinking water, I don't know how they're going to manage a very complex industry and a highly capital intensive industry like power. So you made mention of Abba, the geographic power is not the idea of Abia State. That project has been on for the past, I think, about 15, 20 years. So and the in Abba. So with the state ability to, is there a solution to the problem of the power system in Nigeria, the problem of electricity in Nigeria? No, and I can say that categorically.
Larry Latu, we may need to just peg the conversation there so that we can entertain other stories that we have, but then we appreciate your contribution so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now to security matters. There was pandemonium in the Kaduna state capital as police operatives tried to disperse members of the proscribed Islamic movement of Nigeria, popularly known as Shiites. The IMN members had gathered along the Katsina roundabout by Ahmadu Bello Way before the police arrived and tried to disperse them. The spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, ASP Mansir Hazan, said the IMN members came out in the morning with dangerous weapons and started attacking innocent residents in the name of procession. He also said that the IMN members attacked the police with dangerous weapons when they attempted to disperse them, stating that some policemen sustained injuries. The police PRO further explained that some suspects in possession of dangerous weapons have been arrested and will be charged to court upon completion of investigation. In the meantime, the Nigeria Police Force says that it has successfully arrested over 3,000 suspects in connection to over 1,500 cases of armed robbery, kidnapping, terrorism, illegal possession of firearms, and murder recorded across the country in the last 8 weeks. The Inspector General of Police made this known to newsmen in the nation's capital, Abuja, as he disclosed that the police will also make available to the public a list of the arrests made on a state-by-state basis. The IGP, while tasking strategic managers of the force to improve on the effective discharge of the duties to boost citizens' confidence, also added that the police is set to conduct a review of its regulations for better performance and in line with modern standards.
We recorded 141 cases of terrorism through secessionist attacks, 537 cases of murder, 126 cases of armed robbery, 214 cases of kidnapping, and 39 cases of unlawful possession of firearms. Also, during this period, the Nigerian police force arrested 3,685 suspects for their participation in various crimes. 401 kidnapped victims were rescued, 216 various firearms, 3,301 ammunition, and 82 vehicles were recovered. I am pleased to announce that we are in the process of conducting a comprehensive review of the police regulation and introduction of a scheme of service for the Nigerian police force. These critical undertakings are aimed at modernizing our legal framework to align with contemporary policing standards backed by the Police Act 2020, enhance the welfare and professional development of our officers and men, and foster a culture of excellence.
Away from that, during assassination attempt on Chief Dr. Philip Adbese, the House of Representatives member for Ado Okpoku Odbadibo Federal Constituency has been thwarted by security operatives. During a constituency outreach event in Igumale, chaos erupted as hoodlums allegedly aligned with the Ado local government caretaker chairman Adbese Onazi launched a targeted attack on Chief Adbese and his entourage. Eyewitnesses recount the tense moments as security operatives swiftly intervened, preventing a potential tragedy with the arrest of several suspects. As the investigation into the incident unfolds, authorities are intensifying efforts to uncover the full extent of the brazen attack and ensure all responsible parties are brought to justice. But I'll tell you that the Nigerian army has accused the media of being biased, reporting the activities of its personnel. This is coming at the time the nation is still mourning the 17 soldiers that were ambushed and murdered at Okwama community in Ugeli South local government area of Delta State, South Nigeria. New Central correspondent Austin Azu completes the reports.
It's the Nigerian Army Civil Military Cooperation Media Chat first quarter 2024, aimed at enhancing national security, holding in Asaba, Delta State capital. Heads of media establishments, practitioners, paramilitary delegates, special guests of honors, including top military brass, converged on this hall to deliberate and examine the theme of the event, imperatives of military media partnership for the attainment of national security.
Through our collaboration with the media, the Nigerian Army ensures that accurate and balanced information reach the public, dispelling misinformation and rumors that can sow public distrust.
We must understand that either as military officer, as military men, or as media men, we're all working for the same goal, public good, common good of our own nation. So what you should ask yourself as a journalist when you do a report is that what will be the impact of that report on all society, the community and the entire society.
In his keynote address, Chief of Army Staff, represented by the GOC, 6th Division, Lance Component and Commander, JTF South Operation Delta Save, urged the media to refrain from inevitably amplifying the activities of terrorists, bandits, militants, among others, who he described as enemies of the nation. He harped on robust synergy with the media towards nation building.
In this regard, the unprovoked killing of some of our troops carrying out their constitutional assignments in Okoma community in Delta State comes to mind. The dastardly act was executed in the most barbaric and cruel manner, which is unacceptable and condemnable. More worrisome was the orchestrated use of disinformation to misguide the public about the true accounts of the incident while clasping aspersions on the professional conduct of the personnel deployed to the area.
The State Commissioner of Information commended the Nigerian military for the engagement and urged for its sustainability.
And this is why I again extol the Nigerian Army for considering it worth the while to partner with the media, especially given the crucial and unique functions of the media in the role of an information activist for an informed public and responsible organizations.
The guest speakers expanded conversation on the enhancing national security through military media engagements and promoting military media trust for improved public support towards addressing Nigeria's security challenges. The chat featured spanning discussion as a minute silent was observed for the 17 soldiers killed in Okwama community and others that lost their lives in the course of national assignments. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
You're watching News Now. We will go on a short break to continue with the stories thereafter. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. We now tell you that the Speaker, Plateau House of Assembly, Gabriel Dewan, has sworn in 9 out of the 16 All Progressives Congress lawmakers. The swearing-in took place in the early hours of Friday in Jos. It was gathered the member from Jos East was appointed Deputy Speaker of the Assembly. Dewan was said to have justified the swearing-in based on a letter he received mentioning where it emanated from. Shortly after, Governor Mutfwang received members of the House of Assembly.
The Speaker of the 10th Assembly, the principal officers of the Assembly that have just been inaugurated. Let me say congratulations, Deputy Speaker, and the rest of the principal officers. Let me also congratulate the newly inaugurated members of the 10th Assembly. Congratulations. Today for me is a day of joy. I have always believed that the three arms of government should function harmoniously. And so it gives me a great deal of joy that we can get the House fully functional and to be able to represent the interests of the people.
And now to health matters. Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, has applauded the efforts of the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas for their continued commitment to providing free medical services to Nigerians across the states. NIDCOM Chairman Abike Dabiri-Erewa stated this when she received executive members of the association led by their president, Dr. Chinyere Anyango, at the NIDCOM Lagos office. The NIDCOM boss informed the delegation of the intention of President Bola Tinubu's administration to engage with Nigerian doctors in the diaspora more strategically, adding that she expects more collaborations in due course. She hopes for a bigger platform under the Federal Ministry of Health for diaspora doctors to contribute their quota to healthcare development in the country.
There's an intention. The Tinubu administration is intentional about engaging Nigerian doctors in the diaspora. And that is why, for the first time, we have, of the 2 ministers, a minister specifically in charge of the diaspora. So we have the Minister of State focusing under his supervision, the issue of diaspora medical practitioners. So expect a lot of things, a lot of collaborations to happen. And I'm glad that you're doing this, and you're also having doctors in the diaspora come and build hospitals back home. And I like your emphasis on training, which I think is very critical, capacity building, training, which AMPA has been doing, and AMPA is going to continue to do, even on a larger scale. So for us in the Diaspora Commission, we've been working with you, we will continue to work with you, and we encourage the states, every state, to support what you're doing, because
Now, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has tasked members of the 6th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament to unite and face the challenges affecting the ECOWAS community headlong. This was during the inauguration of the 6th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja, where he urged the regional lawmakers to ensure that they contribute their quota to the growth and development of the ECOWAS community. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was the inauguration of the 6th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament. In attendance were new regional lawmakers, comprising the old returning members of the Parliament, representatives from the ECOWAS Commission, senior members of both Nigeria's executive and legislative arms of government, amongst others.
The ECOWAS Parliament, since its formation, has contributed efficiently and effectively to the implementation of the objectives of the community in its unending quest to strengthen representative democracy across the region. Today's transition, therefore, provides fresh opportunity to renew that commitment and contribute further to a more prosperous future for the people of West Africa.
This is a very significant moment for our organization as we witness the transition of leadership and the commencement of a new chapter in our journey towards regional integration.
As we gather here, we are reminded of the noble ideas upon which this esteemed institution was founded to promote peace, stability, and socio-economic development across the diverse and vibrant West African sub-region.
The president of the ECOWAS Commission reminded the regional lawmakers of the challenges facing the community as part of his message to the parliament.
As we gather today, our region is faced with threats to peace and security, as well as poverty. As you all know, and as if that is not enough, our region is now faced with the risks of disintegration.
Also, President Bola Tinubu, who was a special guest of honor at the occasion, urged parliamentarians to unite and face the challenges facing the ECOWAS community headlong. He challenged them to live up to the expectations of residents of the community.
As we inaugurate the 6th legislature, it is evident that we face profound challenges in our region that demand our unified effort. At this critical junction, regional solidarity is imperative to strengthening our resiliency and effectiveness as a bloc, particularly against forces that aim to divide us. We must not allow this. We cannot afford to remain passive and ordinary spectators while our community faces the threat of disintegration.
The 6th legislature is expected to serve a term of 4 years. President Tinubu also tasked the members to surpass the achievements of the outgoing 5th legislature. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.